Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are going to talk about Adobe Commerce Webhooks and how we can utilize Adobe Commerce Webhooks with the app builder. Also, we're going to see what is the advantage of this approach. This video would be a theory session plus a demo session, so it would be a little longer. So adjust your speed accordingly. And in this video, I'm also going to provide a lot of steps and technical details. If you miss anything, if you want to revisit anything, I request you to rewind the video. If you still not subscribe my channel, request you to subscribe. And in this channel we specifically talk about Adobe Commerce App Builder and new technologies. Now you must be wondering, what is Adobe Commerce Webhooks? Is it some new technique to customize Adobe Commerce? What is the advantage of using Webhook? When we should use Webhook with Adobe Commerce? So let's explore all of those in the next section. Let's understand how Adobe Commerce Webhook works from the official documentation. So if I read the first two lines that has been given, so Webhook enable developer to configure synchronous logic to execute calls to the external system when an Adobe Commerce event is triggered. Synchronous calls are required when commerce need to immediately compute or validate something using third-party endpoint and write the result back into the Adobe Commerce. Yeah, so if I explain this diagram, so this is our Adobe Commerce and customer is coming to the commerce and doing multiple operations like going to PLP page, PDB page, adding product to cart, placing order. So those are events. So what we do using the Webhook, we attach a external URL with the event, and when the event is executed, the Webhook automatically calls that external URL using a specific payload and the header and get the response back from the external system. And using this response, basically we can now manipulate the behavior of the commerce. So this is how the event and the Webhook works. But this is similar kind of thing we are right now doing using the plugin and observer. So what is the advantage of this new approach? Now let's understand the advantage of using Adobe Commerce Webhook, the new way to extend Adobe Commerce. So if I look at the diagram, what we do for Webhook is that when an event is getting executed, using Webhook we are calling the external system, and we are right now more rely on the result of the external system. So rather writing the business logic inside the Adobe Commerce using the plugin or observer, we are rely on the external system output. So in this way we are breaking the monolithic behavior and we are offloading the complex and memory intensive process from the Adobe Commerce, which reduce the infrastructure load, resulting in better overall performance and more modular architecture. Second thing what we are doing is that loosely coupled integration. So in the traditional approach, we write the code using the plugin, observer or the preference. In the new approach, the logic is not written in Adobe Commerce. It is written in the external system API endpoint. So this API endpoint can be anything. It can be a app builder action also, which is a Node.js driven, and the logic rather writing in the Adobe Commerce, we are writing in the app builder action. So which gives us the loosely coupled integration. This simplifies Adobe Commerce core upgrades, reduce version incompatibility risk and minimize custom code within the platform. The third thing we are doing is the isolation. So now if we are using app builder as an external system writing the code, what is happening is that rather writing the code in the Adobe Commerce, we are writing in the app builder action. And for a small change in the current approach, if we do a small change in the plugin or observer, we have to do a total deployment of the application. Now we can just deploy the app builder action rather the entire Adobe Commerce application deployment, which reduce the deployment time. The fourth thing is the scalability. So app builder runs on the Adobe IO runtime, okay, which is a serverless platform, and it is basically having the auto scaling functionality. So if the number of load increases in the Adobe IO runtime, the number of container for the app builder would be automatically getting added, and more container, more nodes would be automatically added. So which provides the auto scaling functionality, and it is basically there is no configuration or specific settings need to be done to define this auto scaling. And finally, like we have this approach reduce the deployment time and overall deployment life cycle. So as you are not deploying the application multiple times, so small changes in the plugin or observer, right now what you do, you have to make the changes and do the deployment. In the new approach, if you use app builder action as an external endpoint, we are just, if there is a business logic change, we are deploying only the app builder action that has been changed, which takes very minimal amount of time rather a entire application deployment. So these are the advantage of Adobe Commerce Webhook and the new way to extend Adobe Commerce. Now it's demo time. Let's understand the requirement in a practical example. So let's understand a working example of Adobe Commerce Webhook with the app builder action. First thing, you have to install Commerce Webhook extension. So if you are with the Adobe Commerce latest version, this is already part of the core, you do not have to install. But if you are running with a lower version of the Adobe Commerce, this module you have to explicitly install. After that, you have to run the Composer update and activate the module. After activating the module, now the next step is to create the webhooks.xml. So it is located in the app etc directory. So let me open the file and explain what is the content of the file. So webhooks.xml looks like this. It starts with webhooks tag, and then there are methods. So these are the individual webhooks basically. So here what I want to do, like when a product is added to cart, before the product is added to cart, I want to do a validation that if the product is eligible to add to cart or not. So what I am doing is that I am defining a webhook for this observer, and this is my app builder action, and this action would be executed, and if based on this action response, if it is a success, then the product would be added to cart, and if this action returns a exception, the product would not be added to cart. And here the three fields I am passing to the app builder action. One is the product name, category IDs, and the SKU. So this is the data structure that from where Magento will be picking the values. So if you go here and go to the use cases and search for sales quote add item, and here is the data structure of the sales quote add item. So here you see the data is there, then the quote item is there, and then the SKU. So the exact same format we have to follow: data, quote item, and the SKU. And the name part is how the data would be requested. So in the app builder action, I have to pull the SKU. So how I can get the data in the app builder action? So in the app builder action side, what I have done is that I have created one action called product add validation. Okay, and in that action, what I am doing is that from the params product.sku, I am picking the SKU of the product, and then I have the business logic. So for simplicity, I have the very plain logic, like if SKU is the 1 plus 13R, then it is success, and any other cases it is a failure case and it is an exception case. So this product should be added to cart successfully. In any other products should not be added to cart. So That's the thing. So next thing what we have to do is that we have to make sure once you define the webhooks, you have to make sure the webhooks are listed. So you have to run this command in your CLI and see if the webhook that you have defined, that is right now getting execute or is getting defined. Imagine to understand that this this webhook exists in the system. After that, you do a cache flush, okay, and move to the next step. So next step, what you have to do, you have to run the webhook generate module, which will basically generate the Adobe Commerce Webhook plugin. So this command is very important. Like without this, the functionality will not work. So once you run this, what will going to happen is that in your app code Magento, and one extension or module would be auto generated, which will have the definition of the event that you are attaching the webhook. So generation of this module, if you forget to generate this module, your functionality will not be working. So once this is done, you have to activate this module in the app etc folder, app etc config.php. You have to activate this module, and then you have to run a setup upgrade and setup di compile. So this module, let me check in my local instance it is there or not. So I go to app etc and search for the module. Yeah, so this is activated. Okay, so these all are done. So next part is to test that. So now you have defined the webhook, but you don't know like if you are getting a success or failure response from the webhook. So to test your webhook, you have to run webhook dev run, and then you have to pass the payload. So if I show you in the command line, what you have to do is that webhooks dev run, and then the observer sales quote item, and here's the before. So exactly the same definition you have to follow. So observer dot sales quote item, and then the before colon before, and then you have to pass the payload. And the payload structure also you have to follow the same kind of data structure. So first part is data, and then the quote item, and then comes the SKU. So now if I run this, so I have in the app builder action, I have specified that only this 1 plus 13 should be considered as success. So I run this command, okay, and it should give me a success response. So it gives me a success response. Webhook was successfully processed. And if I change anything else, it should give me an exception. So it's giving me an exception basically. So now I am confident that my webhooks has been integrated correctly, and it is pointed to the correct app builder action, and it is also doing the all kind of validation it is doing. Now test it in the front end. So I go to my front end, and this is my product called my new test product. So this product should fail to add basically. So it is not getting added. Now time to test the 1 plus 13R product. So it is getting added successfully. So even test mobile also not getting added, because the validation is getting triggered through the webhook that only this product I have made. It should be the add to cart should happen for this product. Yeah, and the app builder side, this is my action product add validation, and in that app builder action I have the business logic. I have defined that action in the app config.yml, and that action path basically I have defined in the webhooks.xml. So here one thing you can do is that this path probably would be remain as a constant, so you can put this path in the env.php and make as a constant. So you can access that thing as a constant path. So let me show you one example. So what I'm saying is that you can do in this way. So the app builder action path, the base path you can make it as a configurable, and in the .env, in the env.php file, and use that in the webhooks.xml. And this is the unique app builder action path. Similarly, like, you can add additional headers in the app builder action if it is required. So for simplicity, for this example, I have removed the header, but yeah, your app builder action would not be a public endpoint. It would definitely require a authorization, so you have to pass the authorization token. So in this way you can pass the authorization token, and the configuration, the constants you can define in the env.php. That's all in this video. In this video we have seen the basic of Adobe Commerce events and the integration with Adobe Commerce event with the app builder, what is the advantage of using Adobe Commerce events, and how it will benefit the Adobe ecosystem. Thanks for watching, and if you have any queries, clarification, please feel free to add your input in the comment section. Thank you.